Hi, I'm Remi Yergeau. I'm a Canada Research Chair in Critical Disability Studies and Communication at Carleton University. I'm also a co-PI of the DISCO Network, and I run the Digital Accessible Futures Lab. I'm really excited about today's panel conversation on surveillance and spectacle. The genesis for this particular panel came from a DISCO affiliate group. Everybody who's been part of the affiliate group is doing really interesting, cutting-edge work, thinking along the intersections of technoculture, digital studies, activism, disability, race, and social justice. And our group contains folks who are in academia and outside of academia, people who are doing activism and organizing work. So we're really excited to have this conversation and see how people are thinking about broader questions around not only surveillance, but datification and organizing, and all of these other pertinent questions that I think are really going to apply to our current moment, which just feels really replete with crises of all kinds. RFK Jr. getting appointed to lead Health and Human Services in the US has meant that I've suddenly had to backtrack and think about people who I thought were dead or disgraced over a decade ago. But suddenly all of these players who are really well known in the anti-neurodiversity and anti-vaccination blogosphere are getting literal government appointments right now. RFK has also kept company with people who keep company with folks who believe that an industrial bleaching agent that they describe as miracle mineral solution cures all known human diseases, including autism. So there's been a resurgence of folks who are peddling bleach online as a curative for autism. And several years back, content moderation policies across platforms, including Amazon, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, were really coming down hard on folks who are peddling pseudoscience, including these bleach apologists. So, they were scrambling to find locations. They ended up migrating their YouTube content to platforms like BitChute and Rumble, which also hosts white nationalist content, just to kind of give a sense of who these folks are in league with. And they suddenly had to post PDFs of their books about bleaching kids, how to give your child a bleach enema online for free, because they'd get banned from a web host and have to migrate elsewhere. But now they're all over the place again. They're on TikTok, they're on X, especially Elon Musk's takeover of X. And so I've found myself having to do a lot more work in thinking about how they're not only constituting disability, but how they're also constituting shit. These are, theories of disability and the abject. But also it runs the very real risk of becoming actual policy. During RFK's confirmation hearing, he specifically referenced chlorine dioxide, which is another name for this industrial bleaching agent, as a means of praising Trump's out-of-the-box thinking on COVID. So I don't know, is it a hot take to say don't give your kid a bleach enema? I'm not sure. I hope it's not a hot take. I hope you are not giving your kid a bleach enema. We've got an upcoming symposium in the fall. The date is TBD, as are the speakers, but it's going to be a trans-crip tech symposium where we're thinking specifically about not only intersections around transness, madness, and disability, but also how the anti-trans wave of discourse at this particular moment is not only very technologized, but intricately connected to policy. I'm in the middle of working on a book manuscript with Joe Shu, who's a faculty member at UT Austin, on anti-trans memes. And finally, in the midst of putting together a web text, it's a twined web text with Lise Lau and Sarah Hughes that is hopefully going to be forthcoming later in the year, called Crip Time Travel. And it's basically a really shitty game where you get to have the experience of asking for disability accommodations and getting totally rebuffed by the game.